since that time who has also decided to remain as a psychologist. Some of my friends we graduated with left the profession and went into other things. Now, after my degree here, I got my master's in psychology in Back College. And I also got a PhD in psychology in the same university. Back College is London University. Since then I've been practicing psychology. Now, the reason why we need to get to where we are now is because psychology has expanded significantly from the time I graduated as a young first degree person. And then because of the changes that are in the environment, which are not Ugandan environment, global environment, psychological services are becoming more and more demanded. I can give you an example of the latest advertisement in the World Bank. They have created a laboratory, a psychological lab in the World Bank to help them develop the psychological tools that will advise them when they are designing macroeconomic projects. This is economics, but the World Bank has accepted that a lot of projects that come to Africa and the third world don't succeed. And they have discovered that it's not purely a matter of macroeconomics, it's behavioral economics. And the background to behavioral economics is pure, simple psychology. So they have advertised for this kind of process. Because time has come to have one voice of how to teach. Makerere University says you are a psychologist. What have you studied? If you see Uganda Christian University says you are a psychologist, what has she or he studied? If Chambogo University, etc., any of these universities that are coming up, if they say you are a psychologist, you must be a psychologist across. We are trying to avoid a situation where some universities will call somebody a psychologist, which another university will not call a psychologist, and vice versa. Because psychology deals directly with the well-being of people. Many things that happen to us are actually mental, they are cognitive, they are behavioral. Most of the time we miss the power of the mind, the power of the heart. The heart is purely a psychological process. It determines what we do. If I don't like you, I don't like you. Now, psychologists learn those things. The mind is the same. The mind and the heart talk to each other. If the heart does not like you, the mind will work out a way of getting rid of you, of getting rid of me myself. If I don't want you, I'll find a way of going away. That's the mind. The heart will be the one that will say, I don't think you should like that guy. That kind of thing. Now, that's pure psychology. And quite a lot of what happens to us rotates around that. With the parents, with the children, at school, at work, everywhere. It's from that situation that people become mentally healthy or mentally unhealthy. Now we are just beginning to recognize how powerful psychology is. And since more people are beginning to get degrees in psychology, it is time to put a standard to psychology. That is what is done everywhere. There are certain disciplines where that's not done. No. But psychology is like that. There is one psychological association in America. There is one British psychological association in Britain. There is one Australian psychology. There is one everywhere you have. And we also have international ones. The international ones are also recognizing the difficulties. So they are asking us, you Ugandans, do you have a regulating body? This is what we are beginning to create. Also because now we have a counseling psychologist association. We have an industrial psychology association. And we have a clinical psychology association. You cannot have three associations. Let's take a simple scenario that we've used there. When there was a bombing, and when there was a fire, first of all there was a bombing. When the bombing took place, international psychologists rang our chairman, James Kagali, Dr. James Kagali, and they asked, what are psychologists doing there? Now, We are supposed to go to the scene and help people deal with the trauma there and then, so that they know how to live, at least for the next 4 hours. Who does that? Not anyone. Somebody had to go who should have been accredited. By accreditation would mean that they know what to do under those circumstances. Because it's not always a medical issue. No. Trauma could be physical, like something that's hit you, but trauma can also be psychological. So if you're going to deal with psychological trauma, we need someone we can believe in that is not going to make situations worse. We are trained a long time ago, at least my time I was trained. Help must be helpful. Now psychologists give psychological help. It's called sometimes counseling, but it's more than that. Now when psychologists give help, that help must be helpful. It is us, the association, that will now accredit the people who can give help that's helpful. We do learning from best practice. When I was in Nigeria, that's some long time ago, 15 years ago, the Nigerian Association, of which I was partly a member, also had that situation. And we've already debated it here. We will acknowledge anyone who is, for the time being, giving a social psychological service, which includes counseling. We shall persuade them to become members of this council. And then we shall show how we can now promote them so that they become accredited with us. From then on, as normally done, we could then have a proper training and then a regulation. If you want to be a psychosocial service provider, just like medicine, just like accounting, you need to pay attention to the council that regulates psychosocial services, trainees, curricula, profession, accreditation, and so on. That is all. So consider ekigambo ekyo omulamwa ogutulese wano kwekunganya nga ba psychologists abalina emitendera egyanjawulo. Abamu kati nze obwa psychology obwange mbukolera mu industry, nze njagala kulaba nti abantu bali productive. Waliwo abalala ba counselors bo balabirira abantu babeere bulungi bonna we babeera. Abalala ba clinical psychologists batera nnyo okukolagana n'abantu abagenda ogw'eddalu, ebintu bwe bityo. Kakati abo bonna twagala tubeere wamu, tube no voice emu kyeki, ne voice emu. Nti kati bw'ogenda okusomesa omuntu anaabeera kansela, onoomusomesa otya? Bw'onoosomesa omuntu agenda okubeera industrial psychologist, onoomusomesa otya? Bw'onoosomesa education psychologist, onoomusomesa otya? Bw'onoosomesa clinical psychologist, onoomusomesa otya? Bw'onoosomesa forensic psychologist, bano abakwata ababbi, onoomusomesa otya? Ebyo tuliko twagala kutereera omundi gumu tulyoke tulabe nti buli muntu asomesa yonna mu university egyali, ne mu institution mwali, ne mu college mwali, ayogera olulimi lwemu. Olwo omuntu asobola okuyamba obulamu bw'abantu babeere bulungi mu minds zaabwe, mu mitwe gyabwe ne mu mitima gyabwe. Kukozesa psychology ekola ku bintu bibiri, omutima n'obwongo. Nga mukaaga bakyetwala, tujja bayo emyaka nga mukaaga oba musanvu, nekyo naba tusazeewo tujja kutuula nabo tubagambye nti kati bakyetwala tugenda kugezaawo okulaba nti omuntu yenna asomesa oba akola ebintu bino ate okubanga yewandise newaffe nga tubaloya bebakola nga baaccountancy tujja kubayo emyaka bweginaggwako, buli omu tujja kumuwa chance agye akole ebiyambi ebinamuyamba okubeera naffe. Emyaka egyo binaggwako 5 oba 6 byonna byenatusazeewo olwo wakyali omuntu asobola kukirizibwa kugenda kufuka kyetwala nga tetumukkiriza.
Yeah, your name? We go.
My name is Ali Male, spokesperson of Uganda Counseling Association. and I've been part of the Uganda Council for Psychologists meeting today that has started the journey of bringing together all people who use the psychosocial services in the country so that we can have it regulated, we can have a common voice that can actually speak up for different needs that affect people and different crises and problems all over the country that have been affecting people without any kind of common voice that coming up. We have been speaking as associations, but now we want to speak more loudly as a council that unites all of us. Yes, this consortium will definitely improve the situation because we are going to look at regulating people who use psychosocial services from the certificate level up to the PhD level. So this consortium will try to close all those gaps that have been prevailing over time, where we need particular classified psychologists for a certain problem. We shall now be able to get them quickly rather than having this all over spread the country but without any unity. It is time up for these masqueraders or the quacks who have been giving crafty therapies to our population in the country and actually misguiding them. So it is time up for them because we have a time limit that within the next 4 years we shall have now distinguished between the boys and girls from men and women. In other words, we shall be able to know who is a classified, registered and certified psychologist, whether it is a counseling psychologist or clinical psychologist. So it is now time up that they stop. We just encourage them to go up for higher training so that they can acquire these skills. Yes, we expect the council, first of all, to unite all the people who are rendering psychosocial services and using the psychological component in their services. The first expectation is that it is going to bring us all together to have a common voice. That is very significant. Then two, we expect it to regulate the training, the practice, the supervision, as well as the field practice for the trainees in the different institutions. So we expect it to do that, and the most important, to voice and be able to kind of give advice to government institutions that have been drafting laws that affect the psyche of different people, especially in different sectors. All these laws have been passed, but we expect this council to guide the parliament in enactment of these laws so they do not affect the psychologies of different people. Amanya gange nze Ali Male, omwogezi wa Uganda Counseling Association. Tuli wano olwaleero ku lukungaana lwa Uganda Council for Psychologists, the Ugandan Council for Psychologists, nga tugezaako okuteekateeka embeera yonna eneegatta abantu abakozesa services ezirimu psychology oba okuyamba abantu abalina ebizibu wakati w'ebizibu ebyaffecting ebirowoozo byabwe ne feelings. So tugezaako okulaba nti tuteekawo structure egenda okuyamba council eno okugatta abavunaanyizibwa bonna n'okulaba ekisingira ddala nti wabaawo engeri gyekirungamyamu council eno gyerungamyamu enkola y'emirimu, entendeka y'abapsychologists wamu n'engeri gye bakolamu emirimu gyabwe eyo wabweru, kubanga tubadde tulina ekizibu nga associations tezisobola kuvoicinga ddoboozi ddene n'okubonereza abo abayisa obubi mu profession eno, naye tufunye eddoboozi eppya lye tusuubira nti ligenda kukwata ku buli omuntu yenna agezaako okwefuula nga psychologist.
Akakiiko k'aba psychologists nga kaba kateereddwawo okasuubiramu kukola ki?
Akakiiko kano bwe kateerwawo bulungi, ekisookera ddala tukasuubira okugatta n'okuleeta buli muntu yenna akozesa services zino okuba nti bali wamu ate nga bayogera ekintu kyekimu. Ekyokubiri, tukasuubira okubeera nga kawabula essiga lya parliament erya gavumenti okulaba nti amateeka ge bakola babeera nnyo beegendereza ku bintu ebiyinza okukosa psychology y'abantu oba embeera z'abantu n'endowooza zaabwe mu birowoozo, okulaba nti tezibakosa. Bwe bateekawo ebibonerezo tebibakosa, era wabaawo engeri gye tubawaamu amagezi. N'ekirala kye tusuubira okulaba nti entendeka, okusomesa, engeri y'enkolamu y'emirimu abantu abakola psychology mu ngeri gy'enjawulo ebeera nga eteekeddwako boundaries, okulaba nti tewaliwo ajja kusukka kkomo eriteereddwawo.
Right. My name is Dr. Kasuja, and I'm a clinical psychologist. And the reason as to why we decided to meet today, which has been something planned for a long time, I think it started last year, we are here to bring together various people who are involved in the field of psychology. So we have different branches of psychology. That is organization and industrial. We have a clinical psychologist and then the counselors. We just want to make sure that everything that we're doing, we do it in the same spirit, but furthermore is to protect the people who consume services of psychologists. I'm sure you've heard about doing harm in the field. Maybe let's say that we have people who would love to practice psychology, but they're not qualified, and that is very dangerous because people out there do not know who they're supposed to go to. And if they end up with people who are unqualified, chances are high that it's highly likely that they are going to damage these people. They're going to do more harm. So the reason as to why we decided to come together is to to establish a council that will regulate the activities, the services of psychologists in Uganda. So if you're a counselor, if you're a clinical psychologist, if you're an industrial psychologist, there will be a regulation in form of licensing. And we, for a long time, have been trying to put this together. Of course, we've been frustrated that maybe we're also doing it the wrong way because each branch was trying to do it for themselves. But now we are hoping that coming together and having one voice will help us to have a bigger voice and probably attract more attention. And we feel good about what's going to happen. We already feel good about what we are talking about and what we are putting down on paper. And let's see how it goes.